Hey there, everyone. Come join us here at The Experience this Monday, November 28th at 6 p.m. Eastern. The whole gang will be here, and we're going to be talking about some of our favorite Dynamite titles, Marvel titles, DC, and more. So remember, it's going to be November 28th, 6 p.m. Eastern, only on The Experience. Can't wait to see you then.
What's up, everybody? Welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome, in fact, to Rockin Robbie Live. I am your host, Rockin Robbie Billups. This is the show where we gather and we talk about movies, comics, pop culture, and a whole lot more. We got a great show planned tonight. We're going to be doing the DC sneak peek. That's right, DC Comics has comics coming out this week. Believe it or not, I've read the ones I chose to read, and I'll let you know what I thought about them. We're going to be continuing on our journey through John Carpenter's filmography. We're going to be talking about Christine tonight, a movie I've already talked about this year on Dylan's Horror Show. We're going to be having Image in the 90s, and yes, we're talking about the final issue of Youngblood, Volume 1. Finally, it's been a long road. It's been a long road. I hate that goddamn song. Anyway, we're also going to be revisiting Green with Evil, the miniseries, if you will, the miniseries event on Fox Kids back in the 90s that introduced us to Jason David Frank, who we sadly lost last year. All of that and more here tonight on Rockin Robbie Live. But this show is driven, fueled, if you will, by your questions, your thoughts, your comments, and your concerns. So once you get in here, throw up a station, throw up a pop, pop, boom. Just let us know that you're in the room and you're ready to vroom, vroom, vroom. I guess Vroom's better than Zoom. Anyway, follow Pop Culture Philosophers on Facebook and on Instagram. And if you're on Facebook, follow us at the PCP Army. That's the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheRockinRobbie. You can find podcasts and more at popculturephilosophers.com. And you can support the channel with a super chat or at patreon.com/PCP, like these PCP patrons right there. And I want to shout out my man, Manny. He's already part of the PCP crew. Excitable we are. But he still pledges his support every single week. So does Brian, the Brianiac. I don't know why. Brian supports us on Patreon just so I can insult him on our conversations with comic creators on PCP movie nights and in person. Anyway, thank you all so much for the support, because all the support we need is you being here, a like, a share, a subscribe, but just being here, participating in the conversation. What do you want to talk about? Let's get it going. Tomorrow night, we finish our look at the Godfather series with The Godfather Part 3 on PCP Movie Night. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Central Time, right after my show with Dynamic Forces over at The Experience, and right after Scarpad's Sci-Fi Sojourns, where I believe they will be talking about The Last Starfighter, but then it will prime you up and get you ready for Godfather Part 3. And if you think for the last 2 weeks we've been doing nothing but jerking off the Godfather series, just wait, because Jelani's got some thoughts on this. Dylan's Horror Show on Saturday night. We're talking about Storm of the Century, the Stephen King miniseries available right now on Hulu. So check it out and join us for Dylan's Horror Show. He's been wanting to do that one for a while. And then we got Christmas movie reviews coming on PCP Movie Night. We've already done the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which, just to let you know, with no spoilers about the special, but spoilers about the movie night, we all loved it. We all gave it 5 you digs. Perfect scores across the board for the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. That was last Friday. But the following week, after the Godfather look, right? There's the Godfather right there. But the week after, December 5th, we go into Go, which is a Christmas movie. And then Batman Returns the following week. And that is our PCP Movie Night finale, actually, for the year. But we still got lots of fun planned. Let's pause for station identification. Once again, once you're in the chat, let us know that you're here. Let us know what's up. What do you want to chat about? All right, happy to be here, everybody. Happy to see all these shining faces in the chat. Even though I can't see your face, I'm imagining it, I'm visualizing it, and it fills me with joy. In fact, I am 100% in the holiday season after watching the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Touched me. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely amazing. If you've seen it, what did you think about it? Drop us a comment. Let us know. Out in the chat, we got GT Key Comic first in the house. Then we got Sam. What is up, my man? Sam messaged me earlier. He was trying one of the local beers from my local breweries, and he seemed to like it. So it's one I haven't tried, but it is from Yellowhammer. They do an IPA that I really like called is it My Bleeding Heart or My Cheating Heart? Or is it Your Cheating Heart? Your Cheating Heart. What's up, Comics by the Bay? How you doing? We got BJ in the house. Station. Pop, pop. Boom, everybody. You know what I'm saying? Two Gun Pedro's in the house. Pew, pew. We got Empire Comics. We got Scarpad, the man himself. What is up? Co-host of Dylan's Horror Show and the host of Scarpad Sci-Fi Sojourns. Join them as they talk about The Last Starfighter tomorrow night. That'll be at the tail end of my show at The Experience, and it will set you up perfectly for the Godfather finale. Who else we got in the house? We got the Luke Meister. What's up, Station? Jesse say, what? The artist formerly known as. How are you doing? Station and a pop, pop, boom. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Patrick's Garage 94. What's good, everybody? Well, what's good here is that you're here. So thank you for being here, Patrick. OUG is in the house. Station. Officially unofficial geek. Getting from there to here. We got Perry in the house. He's eating some barbecue wings. Station, Perry. Sad to miss you. You had the power outage situation you were dealing with last Monday. Sad to miss you on The Godfather Part 2. But we will start tomorrow night's show with your abbreviated thoughts and rating on Godfather Part 2, I guess. I'm assuming you liked it. You better choose your words carefully. Ouroboros Snake is in the house. Station. That one, Eric is in the house. One collection down. Fable, my man. What is up? Yeah, I did just vroom. Sorry. Happened. CMA Thunder's in the house. The thunder rolls and the lightning strikes. I know the love grows cold on a sleepless night as the storm grows on out of control. But deep in a heart, the thunder rolls. All right, what's up, everybody? I'm feeling it tonight. What are your thoughts about The Crow? The Crow? You mean the movie, the comic? I love the comic. James O'Barr. I got to meet James O'Barr at the Memphis Comic Expo in September that was awesome. I'm a big fan of his work, especially The Crow. So I love that comic. The movie, I'm actually not that big of a fan of. Maybe I need to revisit it, but I've never been that big of a fan, and it took me a while to really get into the comic and appreciate it because I saw the movie first, and I just didn't like it. I know a lot of people love it. I love the soundtrack of that movie, but now maybe having a deeper realization of The Crow and a deeper appreciation of The Crow, maybe that will encourage me to rewatch that sometime, right? So, yeah, maybe. Two Gun Pedro says, a zoom, and a pop, pop, boom. All I want to do is zoom, and a boom, boom. Shake your bum. Anyway. Having fun tonight, y'all. This is where the party is. Let everybody know if they don't know. CTA Frank is in the house, says, how about them Cowboys? That is right. Took care of business on Thursday. They almost didn't, but they took care of business on Thursday. Second half was a good team. I'll tell you that. Good team. That was a good team. I didn't watch any NFL today. I was like, well, the Cowboys are obviously off because we played Thursday. We play next Sunday night, which brings me to this. Next Sunday night, we are, in fact, doing another live watch of the Cowboys because they got the Colts on Sunday Night Football. So we will be going live, doing the DC sneak peek, maybe a couple other bells and whistles, but not too much aside from just chatting while I watch the game. And we will have the Super Chat menu available like we did the last time. Was that the Eagles? That was a loss. Woo. Anyway, that will be going on next week. We got the Cowboys watch along with Super Chat menu, so keep that in mind. What else we got going on in here? All these beautiful people. Twitch is in the house. The first Crow movie is great. The rest, yeah, I don't know if I actually ever saw any more Crow movies after the first one. Like I said, I just wasn't the biggest fan when I was a kid, and I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan in my early 20s, but I have not seen it in probably 20 years. So it seems like it's something due for a PCP movie night. As I'm figuring out the list for next year, which we already have the majority of the year figured out, maybe I should throw the Crow in there. Maybe y'all should pick it when it's time for the next PCP Army movie poll, right? Which will be at the end of April. So start thinking. Yeah, just shake your rump. You know what I'm saying. What's up, Jonathan? How you doing? Frickin' Sea Chickens lost in OT. Joram, are you telling me that the Seahawks lost in overtime? I hate that for you if you're a fan, but Brian is a fan, and I love that. As far as just, I want Brian to suffer. I'm just kidding. Taki is in the house. Station. What is up? The Crow soundtrack is the GOAT of soundtracks, AC, which means absolutely charming. Comic Book Therapy in the house. What is up? Ouroboros says, The Crow is a masterpiece in my opinion. Came to me in a dark time. Hell yeah. Are you speaking of the movie or the comic? Now, I love the comic, and it is something I think, well, let me tell you this. I love the essence of the comic. What I really, really love about the comic is the artwork. That's why meeting James O'Barr was important to me. When I met James O'Barr, as I mentioned on the when we did the Memphis live show, right, where I talked about that, I got to chat with him about his technique. I got to chat with him about texture. I got to chat with him about ink. I got to chat with him about screen tone and duo shade and ink wash and all this kind of stuff and why he used everything. And I talked to him 2 times. And the second time I talked to him, he was doing like a commission, and he had all of his tools out there. He had like white media. He had all these different inks. He had all these different brushes. He had toothbrushes. He had all this shit, and he's just like he's doing it, man. And it was such a pleasure to see. And I had a good 10 to 15 minute bitch session with him about the state of comic book inking and comic book art in the modern mainstream comic book world, or even in the indie world, to be honest with y'all. Y'all, you know me, I love comics. I love all comics, and I'm there. I've seen the peaks and the valleys. I've seen the gear shifts. I've seen the changes. I've seen all of it, for the last 35 plus years, right? That I've been reading these damn things. And there is something special about making a book look good in black and white. And that is something I think a lot of modern comics, if you pull the color off, it does not look good in black and white. And that is something like, this is something that I was told back in the day. It has to look good in black and white first. Nowadays, too many people are relying on the colorist to basically add depth, dimension, gravity, definitiveness. They are basically what the inker is, right? What the inker was is now what the colorist is. But we live in an age where, and allow me this tangent, we live in an age where comic book colorists are more and more influenced, not by, say, previous comics that worked from back in the day, like John Higgins' work on, say, Watchmen, or even Killing Joke, which I know Brian Bolland recolored tragically, in my estimation. Check out our Comics Revisited episode on that. But a lot of them are being influenced more and more by cinematography. And I also have opinions about how cinematography is not as good as it used to be, because everything's gone digital. Same with comic book art. Digital brings you more tools. It should elevate the medium. When it comes to cinematography and it comes to comic book coloring and comic book art in general, I feel like it's actually more people are using these tools to take shortcuts. And I don't think the problem is digital. It's like, do I love synthesizers? Yes. Do I think real music can be made with synthesizers? Hell to the yes. Absolutely. However, a lot of bullshit can be made with synthesizers. You just push a few buttons, sequence a couple things, you got a goddamn song. I started my whole goddamn hip-hop career knowing that I could just throw together through sequences and loops and make a fucking song and just spit some lyrics over it. You know what I'm saying? No matter how profound I thought my lyrics were, I was sequencing things and looping things, and that was the essence. It made it fucking easy. That's cool as far as bringing people into the art form, right? As far as people that want, like creatives that want to do something, right? But your tools are there to be just that, tools. Things to make your work quicker and better. Nowadays, with cinematography and comic book art, I feel like digital tools make it quicker, not necessarily better. I don't know. That being said, I just watched a lot of John Carpenter movies recently with cinematography by Dean Cunding. So there you go. I want to read some of these comments. CMA Thunder says it held up incredibly well after 30 years. The Crow we're talking about. Twitch says, I like Salvation, but recognize it isn't great. Wicked Prayer is the worst movie I've ever seen. I've never seen any of those. I've only ever seen the first. I never even saw City of Angels. The only City of Angels I've ever seen is that goddamn Goo Goo Dolls song in that Nicolas Cage movie. That movie sucks. I'm sorry. That movie's like so cheesy and stupid. And if you want to be cheesy and stupid, you gotta like slit some throats. Cue our Blood Rage review last night on Dylan's Horror Show. Just Some Rando says, and thank you for being here, Michigan killed all of my football spirit for the year. Well, I hate to hear that. My college team that I follow, Auburn, we had a really shit year. It's one of the worst years for Auburn in my life. We had the big Iron Bowl this week, us versus Alabama. I wasn't expecting to win. I wasn't even anticipating even watching the goddamn game. But Cadillac Williams, who I love from back in the day when he played with Jason Campbell, and we went undefeated and should have got a chance at the national championship, but we didn't. We didn't. They let the national championship be USC and Oklahoma, and that was a shit bullshit game. Fuck USC. Fuck Oklahoma. Auburn should have been the national champion that year. We should at least got a shot. Cadillac Williams should have been a national champion. He would have been a national champion if we would have got in there. If we would have had the playoff now as we have it, or the expanded version that we're going to have, Auburn would have goddamn fucking made it. We would have competed. God damn it, I'm still so fucking mad about that. What was that, 2005, 4, something like that? God, that pisses me off. Anyway, every time I think about it. But he brought so much love to this beaten, down, way down on their luck, insufferable, historically bad Auburn team. Cadillac breathed some life into these young men. And Cadillac Williams knew that he wasn't going to lead this team to a championship. He wasn't going to lead them to a winning record, but he knew he could lead these young men into confidence and understanding how to overcome adversity. And even though we got beaten bad by Bama, that's going to happen this kind of year. I've been there before, too. I've also been where Auburn owned Alabama for many consecutive years. So you Bama fans, don't get too high on your own fucking smell, if you know what I'm saying. Because it didn't go as well as it. Even Nick Saban before the game, he's like, well, usually this game means more because we're playing for a championship. However, fuck you, Saban. This game means so much because it's the Auburn-Alabama Iron Bowl, god damn it. Anyway, we lost. We lost bad. It was anticipated, but I'm proud as fuck of my Auburn Tigers this year. They went through a lot of shit. Anyway. Dennis Hopper in Wicked Prayer is forever etched into my nightmares. Dennis Hopper's in that movie? I might have to check that out. Ouroboros says, the movie, Robbie, I really need to read the comic and see the differences. There's some differences. There's way more nuance and artistic expression in the comic. I know there are a lot of Crow fans out there. I don't know if there are a lot of Crow fans that have read the book. It's easily available. James O'Barr has actually redefined it. He's added some things to it. There is a special edition out in trade paperback and in hardcover. Highly encouraged. I got the hardcover. I got it signed by him. I got a print hanging up in my living room above my Ed Piscor Hip Hop Family tree print. Yeah, so it's a pretty big deal. I would have my Francisco Francavilla Argento print, but it's actually, so the typical comic book print that you buy like at a Comic-Con is like 11 by 17, and I bought some frames for that, and the Argento piece is actually by Francisco Francavilla. When I met him, I bought it, I got him to sign it. It's actually bigger than that, so I got to really figure out those dimensions. So I got to pull out my tape measure and get the appropriate frame. CMA Thunder says, is it just me or is the Sunday Night Football theme annoying as fuck? It's just you, but it has grown on me. Or I should say this, it's not just you, but it has grown on me a little bit. But I would prefer that the Sunday Night Football theme was me singing either A, the Hellboy song, or B, me singing Garth Brooks' The Thunder Rolls as a nod to you, my man. Mike's read the comic. Mike says, the Crow comic is awesome. The movie is stellar. I just rewatched the film on Devil's Night, my new favorite holiday, last month. It's my top 5 all-time favorite flicks. Hell yeah. That's high praise. Definitely need to revisit it then. All right, I see some people talking. Now, this is when I was talking about the state of comic book art and cinematography. It's both cinematography and comic book art. Comic book art, which is now more defined by the colorist, is more inspired and influenced by movies. And it's always been influenced by movies. In fact, actually, what's funny is comics inspired and influenced movies. Sequence of events told in pictures on the printed page happened before movies. Comics happen before movies. That's all I'm saying. Anyway. Mad Respect, what is up? I have mad respect for you being here, Mad Respect. Mad Respect says, at least we don't have to see OSU gets smoked in the CFB. Just okay. But Comic Book Therapy says, bring back the inkers. I agree. I had a conversation briefly with who the fuck is Greg Capullo's inker? God damn it, I can't think of his name right now. Glapian. Jonathan Glapian. And that's the inker, right? Is that the guy I met? Yes. Let's just go with that. Jonathan Glapian and Greg Capullo, I had a conversation with them about the importance of inking and why Jonathan was doing the Lord's work in 2022. CMA Thunder says, thank you, Robbie, for the Crow discussion. Really appreciate that. You just wait. But we're going to eventually do a movie night and a comics revisited back-to-back on that. You just wait and see. Just Some Rando says, anyone else remember the random Wii game with Dennis Hopper and Billy Bob Thornton? They play hillbillies in the background looking for treasure, but you play as a scorpion or tarantula. Nah, I bought a Wii when it was still new, and I just played Wii Fit, Wii Sports, and the Super Mario Brothers Wii. That's really all I ever played. I still have that Wii, and that's what I use as my emulator. That's where I play most of my NES and SNES games, because I don't have an SNES or NES, but I do want them eventually. But now that I got the 64 and I've hooked it up through the adapter, man, it does look bad on that 4K TV, so I gotta get a CRT. And I have plans. I want to put it in here and make like my 80s, 90s retro room be part of the studio with my comics and my VHSs. My VHSs are in the living room right now, because I just really like looking at them. And I don't have enough to make a whole giant wall yet. But I do have a lot of VHSs. They make one full rack there. But that's all in the living room now. I got a bunch of Star Wars or Star Trek shit in here. Damn, Robbie. Still got some Power Rangers set up going on. But I want to do, but then when I have these like game nights where we all come over to my house, me, Jelani Brooks, and Mike, and other friends of ours, we gather and we play these games. There's not really room in here to put everybody comfortably, right? So, I mean, we're sitting on like 5, 6 folding chairs. Going across, that ain't going to happen. So maybe it's not the best idea. But I got the VCR. I got the VHS collection. I got the 64. If I get the CRT TV, which they're not super cheap anymore to find ones in working condition, but if I get that, I will set it up in here for personal fucking use. And then that will allow me to finally open the floodgates. We'll do a crowdfunding thing, and we'll buy the 2600, because the Atari 2600 was the first game system I had and still one of my favorites. Joram says, yeah, though sometimes the colors look flat digitally, and they can take you out of the book. OUG says it's all the same conversation with music. If you haven't watched Sound City documentary, it's about the recording studio that had one of the Neve consoles, or like an analog. Okay. Maximino, what is up? Maximinio, what is up, buddy? Bizarro says, fuck yeah, Blood Rage, just watched it. Love that movie. BJ says, destroy the like button. I would love it if everybody would just destroy the fuck out of it. Twitch says it was 2023-4 when I was in basic training. Thank you. Just Some Rando says, Auburn returning a field goal for a touchdown, the pick six. Yeah. Is a win. Yeah. It's one of the greatest college plays I've ever seen. I remember when that happened. I fucking loved it so much. Hell yeah. Yeah, Devil's Night is the night before Halloween. Some call it Mischief Night. Eric says, PCP and Sunday Night Football crossover event. Get Carrie Underwood to sing the Hellboy song. I'll do our own rendition of Sunday Night Football. We'll have fun next week, y'all. I'm a big fan of Jeff Saturday, actually. I love him on Get Up. I want him to have success as a coach, but at the same time, I want him not to, so he can go back to Get Up and do his like pancake shit that he does, like on like Wednesdays or Thursdays or something. I miss that so much. I miss it. Hey, the neighborhood Merc is in the house. My wife is on the way back from Brazil right now. She picked up a bunch of Deadpool, Spider-Man, and Superman trade paperbacks and single issues, all in Portuguese, of course. So cool, I think. I think so, too. Last week, I showed off some of the ones my buddy Donnie's been bringing me as he travels across the world for his work. I've got a few international comics from friends who have been overseas, and he just recently brought the French Batman Year One collection, which also has the Matt Wagner Batman the Monster Man, and he brought me a Spanish. Was it a Spanish or was it a Portuguese? I think it was a Spanish Fantastic Four. I can't remember now. But he just brought me that Korean edition of Batman the Imposter #1, so that was cool. Williams in the house. Seems Disney is in talks to sell to Apple. This is what happens when you invest in FTX? What's FTX mean? It was 04 to 05. I got you. Okay, thank you. Thought it was a little bit later than 03, but it's around that time. At our age, you know how time works. Cloud Kicker's in the house. Sup, y'all? Station. Oh, yeah, the Eagles are playing right now. I hope they fucking lose. Anyway, the Lakers have won 5 of their last 6 games. Can you believe that? This is mostly because we get to beat up on the Spurs right now. But they've been looking good over the last week or two. I'll tell you that. But they've been looking good against bad teams. All right, y'all. It's already been a half hour. You know how we do here. It's time to really officially kick off the show with the first 5. All right, for the first 5, what we're doing is we're going through these 1995 Fleer Ultra Spider-Man set. We are now on card 51. We've gone through 50 cards already. And first card is Shriek. Love this card. Love this character. I love Shriek for the same reason I love Bane. I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up reading these things since I was 5 years old. Doctor Doom, Green Goblin, fucking Joker, Two-Face, all these amazing villains. And I was there for the creation of a few villains that I thought were instantly iconic. Bane for DC and Shriek for Batman. Shriek for Spider-Man. Obviously, Bane has more of a shelf life than Shriek, but Shriek has appeared in a movie, but not in her full capability. Cat is wanting to get out of the studio now. But then we got Sin Eater. Decent enough card. One thing we're going to learn in this little batch of first 5 is that Spider-Man's got some of the best villains out there. But he's also just got some ones that are just kind of, what the fuck? Kind of like Solo. The fuck? Anybody remember Solo? I remember Solo. He had his own Solo series. Anyway, still actually a pretty cool card. Then we got, I hate this dude. Stegron. He's like a fucking dinosaur. It's just whatever. He's a scientist that becomes a dinosaur. It's okay. That's an okay card, I guess. Could be better. And then we're going to finish this with a rather cool card with a character I don't think is the best. Wait, this is confusing me. So this is Strikeback. And at first I thought it was Silverback or Silvermane. Thought it was Silvermane. There's no was this Silvermane? Origin. After an unsuccessful criminal career as the Ringer, Anthony Davis, AD? Holy shit. Anthony Davis was seemingly murdered by the vigilante Scourge. His body was recovered and rebuilt as a cyborg by the scientist at AIM. Powers. Strikeback's cyborg body is the source of his superhuman strength, forearm force beams, and ability to fly. Attempting to break away from his masters at AIM and reclaim a normal life, Strikeback tracked down his wife, who had since begun her own superhero criminal as Hardshell. Oh, he's from Lethal Foes. I have very little recollection. Anyway. Silvermane and Wu-Tang, I wish. Anyway, that's been your... First five. All right. Kat wants out of the studio. I'm going to let her out, so we now pause for station identification. What do you want to chat about? Get in your conversation topics right the fuck now. I just really hope that Kat understands how special and important she is to continuously interrupt the best Sunday night YouTube show on Pop Culture Philosophers. We may be the only one, but we're the best. Anyway. The Shriek appearance in Let There Be Carnage is a damn travesty. I agree. I hate that movie so much. Hey, we got Verno in the house from the Cerebros, a.k.a. Blood Splatter Chatter, a.k.a. Shitter of the Year. What is up, my man? Who drew the cards? They're in order. Oh, the cards, shit. Who drew them? The Shriek one, these are all painted. The Shriek one is painted by Chris Hawks. Sin Eater by Peter Bollinger. Solo by Judah Tversky. Stegron by Nick Janeshig. And Strike Back by Nick Janeshig. So there you go. There's that whole thing they were doing in the 90s where they were doing these painted cards. Pretty cool stuff, though. Is Morbius worth watching? Kit, I have not seen Morbius, so I cannot tell you that. I've heard it's not, but if anybody in the chats has seen it, let me know what you think. Is it worth watching? And Jonathan says, have you ever seen a UFO? I have. I don't know if I've seen a UFO, but I have seen a strange light 2 times in the sky that did weird things and then disappeared. So, I have seen strange lights in the sky. That's just me. A lot of other people seen that stuff before, but I have seen it for sure. All right, here's a question. Did anybody watch, and CTA Frank says, hell no, Morbius is not worth watching. Has anyone seen the Guardians Holiday Special yet? What did you think about it? I gave it a 5, you digs. I gave it a perfect score. Obviously high on the holiday spirit. It's probably really a 4.5, but I gave it a 5 because it did exactly what it was trying to do. Yeah, the Faust Omnibus. I thought about that, backing the Faust Omnibus. I still might. I don't know how much time is left, but I have like every issue except for like 12, 13, 14, and I think 15. They went to 15, right? Those are the hardest ones to find, but I know I can do it if I really put my mind to it. Simon Bianchi has a dope series of Marvel painted cards. That's just some random. Hey, we got Missing Link in the house. Steph, Station. Pop, pop, boom. What is up, man? How you doing? Great conversation last night on Dylan's Horror Show. Anyone else remember when Warner Brothers tried to sell their gaming division just so they could get a bump in its value? I do not necessarily remember that. Eric says the Guardians Holiday Special was so great, 4.5 backlogs all day. Twitch says 4.0 for me, solid but could have been better. CGI was dreadful. Here's one thing I learned. We were doofing around about why Groot looked so different. Groot looked so different because Groot was a dude in a fucking suit. They put a dude in a suit for Groot. Why? Save money on CG, maybe. Because the CG was kind of wonky in certain parts, not in all of it, mostly in the jumping. However, putting a dude in a suit gave it this, like, it was trying to be like a cheesy holiday special, right? And so putting a dude in a suit as Groot, that actually is kind of fucking funny and clever to me. So I thought that was pretty dope. And like just some rando says, plus he's in his awkward teenage phase. And Figure Drawing says Groot was 95% practical. Hell yes. 47 days left for the Faust Omnibus. It's pretty pricey. It's probably cheaper to get the damn omnibus than to get those last few issues, but I want to get those last few issues just to have it. Man, and then we could do a Faust Comics Revisited. That'd be a fun show, wouldn't it? What's your elevator pitch for a Green Lantern series? Training Day with Hal Jordan and Sinestro. You're right, Joram. Not just does everybody need, not just does every film need a vendor peddling contraceptives in the men's room of a local drive-in. We need Ted Raimi to be doing that. Julian says the holiday special was fun, a little disposable, not as solid as Werewolf by Night. I love Werewolf by Night. I loved the Guardians holiday special. And is it disposable? I don't think it is, because to me, it is going to be repeated viewing at the holiday season. It is something along with Rudolph and Charlie Brown Christmas I'm going to watch every year. And Black Christmas, Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's up there with me for those, man. I just really loved it. I really loved it. You should make a video showing off your comic collection. Well, it would just be a video of me showing some random boxes in the corner over there, you know? That'd be pretty much it. Maybe one day. I get plenty of people like, do a studio tour, do a house tour, do a collection tour. Maybe. If y'all really want it, let me know. Maybe we'll do it. Steph says the holiday special was a feel-good time. All right, y'all. DC's got books out this week. I've read them. It's time to let you know what I thought about them. It's time for the DC Sneak Peek. First up, we got the Superman Kal-El Returns special. So they're doing this bullshit Kal-El Returns crossover between Superman, Son of Kal-El, and Action Comics. And I haven't really been digging it. Now, I like Philip Kennedy Johnson's Superman. I like his ideas. I feel like they've been a little bloated, right? I feel like the Warworld saga was a little bloated. And I feel like now most of what Kal-El Returns is just kind of like an epilogue to that, which maybe it needs, but it just feels like I'm ready for just the new start. Honestly, I'm ready for Joshua Williamson to start Superman. That being said, this was not that bad of a special. What this is it's not integral to the plot of Kal-El Returns whatsoever. It's not a good crossover, meaning one issue doesn't lead into the next. You could read them all individually. This one is like an anthology by a series of creators, and it shows like when Superman returns, it's when he returns to Batman. It's when he returns to the Justice League, and it ties into the death of Justice League. It's when he returns to Jimmy Olsen. It's when he returns to, what's the other one? After the Jimmy Olsen story. It's another Jonathan story. It's okay, but it's not like super deep or resonating, but it does kind of set up some things that may be important at some point later on. Then we got the Wildstorm 30th anniversary special. I wasn't looking forward to reading this. I'm a big fan of Wildstorm, big fan of the Wildcats. Loved what they did at Image 30 years ago. We've been talking about it all year long, and Image in the 90s. I really liked this special. I think I might actually pick this one up. I liked it. So it's got a new story, Deathblow story by Brandon Choi and Jim Lee. It's 5 pages. Don't get too excited. It's got a new Gen 13 story written and illustrated by J. Scott Campbell. Really, though, don't get too excited. It's 3 pages, but they're pretty cool. Then we got a Warren Ellis, Brian Hitch kind of like epilogue requiem, if you will, to the Authority series, which I thought was excellent. Then we've got a Dustin Nguyen, Christos Gage book that is a big, just a big love letter to the history of the Wildcats, and I really, really like that. We got a Backlash story by Brett Booth. We got a Mr. Majestic story by Dan Abnett that was okay. It was pretty decent. It was good. We got a Matthew Rosenberg grifter story that's tied more into the current iteration of the character. We got a Greg Pak story involving Jack Hawksmoor that sets up some stuff to come in the Lazarus Planet story. We got an Ed Brisson story that is setting up the possibility of some Stormwatch involvement in the DCU in the future. We got a Matthew Rosenberg story about Michael Cray and his current status, his origin in the DCU. We got Megan Fitzmartin and Will Conrad did... What story was this one? Oh, it was a Midnighter and Apollo story dealing with ramifications from the World saga. It was all right. Then we got Josh Williamson and John Boy Myers doing a Zealot story that kind of continues from some threads left dangling from the Shadow War saga and sets up some potential in the future. I really like this. I thought this was nice. If you're a big Wildstorm fan, I would encourage you to check this out. And most DC anniversary specials are $10. This one's only $8. And it's 100 pages, so it's pretty cool. Then we got Blue Beetle Graduation Day #1 of 6. There's a Blue Beetle movie coming. This one's all right. It's an interesting enough story. I'm down for the story. I'm down for the characterization. And it's basically Jaime is going through graduation. He's graduating. He doesn't really know what to do with his life, so it's kind of coming of age, post-graduation type stuff. But it is just so frantically paced. It doesn't really flow very well, so it's got some solid ideas to play with, but it's so clunky in the way it's being told. Then we got the 2022 Detective Comics Annual. This was a pretty solid issue by Ram V, pretty important to the overall story of Detective Comics because it builds the backstory of not just these new villains that Ram V's playing with, but the history of Gotham as Ram V is setting it. So if you're reading Detective Comics, that's pretty much essential reading. Then we got the Nightwing 2022 Annual. This is written by Tom Taylor, but a few other people. It starts off, it's got like 3 stories in it, if I remember right, maybe 4. It's got 3 stories. The first story is the origin of Heartless. 'Cause he's heartless, and he's back to his ways 'cause he's heartless. Anyway, it's got the origin of Heartless, and I really liked it. It's a nice parallel to the origin of Dick Grayson. Then it's got a story in there that's about Nightwing's dog, and it's from Nightwing's dog's perspective, and that was fine. And the last story is about Jonathan Kent and Nightwing, and it's okay. Tom Taylor just does that first story, but it's pretty important. It's pretty cool. So there you go. And then we got the biggest DC release of the week, and my favorite DC book I read this week, Justice Society of America #1. Jeff Johns, Mikhail Hanen coming in to do this book. Picks up straight from that new Golden Age book. They introduced us to the Huntress, which is the daughter of Batman and Catwoman. This book starts set in the future and then goes back in time, and this is going to be a good introduction to people of the JSA or the Golden Age, because this is a new Golden Age that Jeff Johns is building on established ideas, but adding new elements and things into it, like the Red Lantern. We're getting more clues, more tidbits of information about what that all entails here. And this is a story, what I love is the structure. It's a Golden Age story, and it's going to show this new iteration of the Golden Age, inspired by the original. And we know Jeff Johns can handle that exceptionally well because he's had 2 extended runs on JSA that have been awesome. And I'm excited to see him back. Great artwork in this book too. But like I said, starts in the future, brings it back, throwing all these different ideas and things together and making it work. This is a great introductory issue. However, I would highly encourage you to read the new Golden Age first if you haven't already. So to recap, Superman Kal-El returns. It's okay. Wildstorm, the 30th anniversary special, surprisingly awesome. I really appreciated this. Blue Beetle Graduation Day, it's okay, but it's a bit clunky in its pace. Detective Comics, essential reading for Ron B's Detective Comics because it builds up some backstory. Nightwing, a badass section that's about the origin of Heartless, and then a decent section about Nightwing's dog, and an okay section about Jonathan and Nightwing's relationship. However, Justice Society of America, loved the artwork, loved the mystery, loved the story, loved the characterization, and that has been your DC Sneak Peek. All right, we're about to dip out for just a second, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about Christine, continuing our look at John Carpenter's filmography. We're also going to be talking about Image in the 90s. We're going to wrap up our look at Youngblood Volume 1 when we dive into issue number 10. I see some chats out there talking about modern comic books coming on right now, including the Frank Miller Presents stuff. What are you thinking? What was your favorite comic books of last week? What are you looking forward to? What do you want to chat about? Let us know as we take this break. We'll be right back here on Rockin Robbie Live.
Hey there, everyone. Come join us here at the Experience this Monday, November 28th at 6 p.m. Eastern. The whole gang will be here, and we're going to be talking about some of our favorite Dynamite titles, Marvel titles, DC, and more. So remember, it's going to be November 28th, 6 p.m. Eastern, only on the Experience. Can't wait to see you then.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rockin Robbie Live here on Pop Culture Philosophers. I am your host, Rockin Robbie. How is everybody doing? We've had a great time tonight already, talking about movies, comics, pop culture, and a whole lot more. We just wrapped up the DC sneak peek. We're about to continue our look at John Carpenter's filmography in chronological order, with a look at the movie Christine from 1983, and then, of course, Image in the 90s, where we're wrapping up our look at Youngblood Volume 1. All that and more here still on Rockin Robbie Live, but I will say, you should follow Pop Culture Philosophers on Facebook and on Instagram. If you're on Facebook, join the PCP Army. It's the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheRockinRobbie, and you can support the channel with a super chat or at patreon.com/PCP, like these fine PCP patrons right there. And HC, I see you. Thank you so much for the support. We really do appreciate it, but all the support we need is a like, a share, a subscribe, and a continuing participation in the show. What do you want to chat about? You got any questions, thoughts, or concerns? Because this show is driven, fueled, if you will, by those questions, those thoughts, and those concerns. Tomorrow night on PCP, we got PCP Movie Night. We're continuing our look at the Godfather series. We're actually concluding it with a look at The Godfather Part 3. That's at 8 p.m. Central Time tomorrow night. The following week, we start our Christmas Fest. However, we've already done the first episode. We did that on Friday. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Check out that review and conversation and analysis and discussion live on the channel right now. Then the following week, we got Go. And then after that, we got Batman Returns, and that is the duration of PCP Movie Night for the rest of the year. But Saturday, join us for Dylan's Horror Show, where we talk about Storm of the Century, a Stephen King miniseries that is available now on Hulu. So there you go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Let's take a look at the comments. Kirk Dooms Comics and Things is in the house. Station, my dude. How are you doing? Good to see you. Steph asks, is that Wildcat Specials by Rosenberg? And then he goes, anthology. Yep. Jorm says, I just want my JSA. Well, it's like that old song, right? I want my JSA. Why not? Cool t-shirt where Rob says, William, thank you. This was a gift from Two Gun Pedro. He sent it to me in a post-Horror Fest package. I love this shirt. I wear it all the time. Sinner says, damn, Blue Beetle is a bust. I thought the character caught some traction, but I guess DC wasn't able to capitalize on it. Like I said, cool characterizations, cool place in the story. It's just a bit clunky in pace. It's kind of frantic. Robbie, have you read any of the Miller Presents books yet? If so, what do you think so far? Well, Mike, I read the first two, and I covered them on the weekly comic book review. And Ronin Book 2 by Frank Miller and Philip Tan was awesome. I loved it so much. But I do think you need to read Ronin first if you've never read Ronin. It's one of my favorite Frank Miller books, and I would highly encourage you to check it out. Trade paperback easily available right now from DC Comics. But the long-awaited, or not even awaited, we didn't ever anticipate a sequel to this. It's awesome. Double-page spreads, Philip Tan, black and white artwork, great, gritty, filled with texture, and double-page spreads. It's just really beautiful. The Ancient Enemies one was a little bit more typical, run-of-the-mill, like 80s, 90s comic book superhero type setup, and it just didn't do that much for me. That was the Dan DiDio book. However, Ronin was awesome. I loved it. Is Alan Scott gay, or does he have two kids like he did in All-Star Squadron? And I saw that Missing Link said he thinks that Jade and Obsidian are no longer canon. They are still canon. Here's the thing. Yes, Alan Scott is still a gay man, canonically speaking. In canon, Alan Scott's a gay man. However, it took a long time for him to fully realize and accept that, especially the time period that he was in. So, like plenty of men I know that are gay men, they had non-homosexual relationships before they fully either realized or owned that identity, right? So he has had kids with other people. This is something we see. I would bring everybody to the, what's the damn show? Grace and Frankie. That's a good show. kind of the similar situation there. So yes, he's gay and he has 2 kids. And they are still canon. Frank Miller's basically just a pitchman now. Not really, Sinner. He is writing and doing the layouts for Ronin Book 2. That's way more than just a pitchman for me. Dan's the pitchman. Green Bay 7, Philly 13. I think Philly will win the game, but I really hope they don't. Matthew, what's up? Sal, what's up? Matthew says, Robbie, do you think the Yankees will keep Judge? Yes, I do think they're going to keep Judge. I think they'll make him captain. I think they'll give him an 8 to 10 year deal, around $350 to $400 million. That's what I think. Rogue Collecting is in the house station. Joram says, Frank Miller presents titles. For me, all in on the Sin City. Absolutely love that world. Yes, and Milo Manera doing some Sin City. And Frank himself doing the Sin City Western prequel that he's been teasing for 20 years now. Sin City is his masterpiece. I think his masterpiece is Ronin, and I think his masterpiece is Daredevil Born Again. And I think his masterpiece is Sin City. In particular, I just recently reread a bunch of Sin City, and family values keeps tracking upward, and others go down. Dame to Kill For is still my favorite Sin City book. I love Dame to Kill For. I love all the stuff involving Dwight, but family values, this was the first time I really highly valued it, I think, and understood what was going on there. But some good stuff. By the way, Big Herm's got a mystery box he's going to be opening up on his channel, I believe, on Wednesday. And I don't know if he's ever read any Frank Miller Sin City, but now he's got an opportunity. Let's just say that. Mark, I don't know. I never read the Wildstorm 25th anniversary hardcover, so I don't know if anything is reprinted. It doesn't seem like anything is, but it might be. Who knows? Almost completely CGI. I heard that it was a dude in a suit. Lars is in the house said, I would say that one of the best Frank Miller stories is Daredevil Love and War with Bill Sienkiewicz. I would go right along with it. That's pretty good too, actually. Ronin, Samurai Jack is heavily influenced by Ronin. You know what else is heavily influenced by Ronin? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I got to talk to Kevin Eastman about that personally on stage. And 100%, Ronin was a big influence on the Turtles. We already know that from the trade dress design. I don't know if he still owns his art. Now, I know that his ex-wife, Lynn Varley, was the colorist, so maybe she's got some of the original colors or something, but I don't know. That Warren Ellis story is definitely from that. Is it really? I didn't know that. I've never read that. It's Brian Hitch. It's Warren Ellis. It's called Authority Requiem, but I really liked it. It's the first time I read it. Consensual Sense Slot says, I am feeling depressed about comic book collecting. I am to the point of quitting in the new year. It's annoying trying to get to the store before the scalpers and the employees don't want cash payment. Well, any shop should do what my shop does. We take all forms of money, basically. That's unfortunate to hear, bruh. But just I would say, take a break if you need to, but always buy what you want, buy what you're interested in, read what you buy, and if the scalpers get ahead of you, create a pull list. Pre-order some of the books that you're into. You'll never miss out. And if you don't have a local shop that's like that, there are plenty in this country that will service you. Could Ellis make a comeback? He's got some new work coming soon. and he's back doing his newsletter, and I think the time is nearing ready for Warren Ellis's return. I think we have been robbed of amazing comic book story because of Warren Ellis's absence. So yes, I think he's going to make a comeback. Philly is now losing to Green Bay 14-13. There you go. Lars says, I have a subscription when it comes to all Frank Miller Presents from my local comic shop. Figure Drawing says, yeah, pull lists are gold. There are many places online that could do pull lists as well. Steph says, Ellis needs to be uncanceled. You said it, my man. I'll just agree with it. 100%. Come on, y'all. A lot of creeps in entertainment. I think he's learned his lesson. Hopefully. That being said, I've been robbed of really good stories. And I understand everything involving everything. But it's time to see some more of this man's work, because Warren Ellis is one of the most brilliant comic book writers that we've ever had. This dude's brain is insane. Insane, I say. Insane. All right, we're continuing our look at the John Carpenter filmography. We're doing it in chronological order. Last week we talked about The Thing, a movie that tanked. However, it's one of his best films. His follow-up was a movie based on a Stephen King novel that hadn't even been published when they started production on the movie. We'll talk about that. It's time to talk about John Carpenter's Christine. Christine is the 1983 follow-up to The Thing by John Carpenter. Now, The Thing was not a critical or a commercial success. So he was at a low point in his career, and he was trying to work out a deal to do a Firestarter adaptation for Universal. However, they wanted to shrink the budget. He wanted the budget. He's like, I can't do it without this amount of money. They didn't agree on it. And then he said that he just took the next job that popped up. That turned out to be Christine. Christine is about a haunted car. In the book, the car is haunted by its previous owner. In the movie, the car is evil from the get-go. She's born to be bad. She, bites this dude's hand off, kills another dude on the assembly line. Such a great opening to this film. But it's about this kid named Arnie. He's kind of a nerd. He's tried to do everything by the book for his parents, his mom in particularly being very oppressive, very sheltering. And he's dealing with some bullies. Luckily, he's got a good buddy. His good buddy is like star football player. All the girls are into him. He's super popular. Arnie's not, but he has this relationship with him. Now, one day on the way back from school, Arnie sees out of the corner of his eye a downbeat Christine being sold. So he winds up making the deal, even though his buddy's telling him, yo, man, this is too much. He pays $250 for Christine, and he takes her and he fixes her up, and it starts changing this dude. His confidence comes in. He starts talking back to his parents. He gets what is considered to be the hottest girl in the show or in the school. And yes, she was on Baywatch. So there you go. Why not, right? At one point, though, the car has a personality, of course. The car, Christine, is a star of this movie, actually tries to kill his girlfriend and does kill other people, including those bullies that eventually in a great scene come and beat him up, and then the car pulls itself back together. Arnie's transformation is one of my favorite things about this movie, seeing it done subtly. Now, it's based on a book. It's got some, I won't say that the pacing is clunky or wonking, but it does have some bits where certain characters are left alone for a while, for long spaces of time. But I can see how this would be a difficult thing to adapt. However, out of all the Stephen King adaptations, I think Christine is one of the best. I love this movie. It's a movie about a killer car. This should not be good, but it is good. And it is good because of John Carpenter. The whole reason why we're doing this thing is because I love the work of John Carpenter. I love his music. The music in this movie is great. The themes are there. It's a coming of age tale. It's about somebody changing from adolescence into teenage into adulthood. It's about finding yourself and about losing yourself through obsession. I think Christine is a top-notch film. Now, we covered this on Dylan's Horror Show back in like April or May or something like that, right? And we all had high praises for this movie. A little bit of backstory. We were already talking about John Carpenter is at a low point in his career right now because The Thing was a financial failure and a critical failure, right? So what do we do here? He wants to make Firestarter. That doesn't work. He doesn't have so much authority anymore. That sucks. This is the dude that made Halloween. This is the dude that did Elvis. This is the dude that came out of the gate. Yeah, Dark Star's more of a student film, but he came out of the gate with Assault on Precinct 13, which was amazing. He's done The Fog, which wasn't as appreciated then as it is now. Same thing with The Thing. Now, John Carpenter has been quoted as saying, "When critics like my work, that's when I know I'm in trouble." He has an entire career of critical failures and commercial failures, but I recognize him, and many others do, as one of the greatest American filmmakers of all time. Christine's a good reason why. He took this job as a job. He didn't have any passion behind this. He says this, "I didn't have any passion on this. I didn't want to tell this story." He was approached by it, right? So the producer of this film was the producer of Salem's Lot, the TV miniseries directed by Tobe Hooper, that Stephen King actually really, really liked. And Stephen King liked it so much, he went to that producer and he goes, "I got 2 manuscripts unpublished. You want to take a look at them?" Dude's like, "Fuck yeah. Who would say otherwise," right? So he reads the scripts. He gets Cujo and he gets Christine. And he basically goes, killer dog, killer car. I'll go with killer car. So then he calls up John Carpenter because he was the producer of Someone's Watching Me, which was that excellent John Carpenter made-for-TV horror film that we covered a few months ago, right? Going through this journey, this filmography, chronologically speaking. So he gets the gig. He takes it because he needs a job. He needs a job. He needs to do something. He makes it technically sound, but he doesn't have heart into it. Now, you can feel the lack of heart from John Carpenter. You can feel that he's not 100% on board with the story. He's not 100% on board with maybe some of the characters, but I think he's 220% down for Arnie. I think the character of Arnie is represented by Carpenter's storytelling magnificently well. The special effects are amazing. When John Carpenter first watched his first cut of this movie, he's like, it's not scary. Now, they toned down the gore and they cut out any kind of sexual stuff because the biggest criticism that John Carpenter had of The Thing was that it was too fucking gross. Blows my fucking mind. That movie is just gross enough, man. We talked about it last week. That's a perfect film. But he wanted to tone all that down, but they were afraid that they were going to get a PG rating. So they added a bunch of fucks, right? So that they get an R rating. They're guaranteed. And at the time, the movie was slightly criticized for its usage of bad language, right? What the fuck ever. We live in a different world today. So this movie was in production before the book even came out. So they started production. The book had been published. The book was a #1 bestseller. In fact, when this movie released, this book was on the top 10 twice in bestsellers. The hardcover was number 10 and the paperback was #1. But it still opened 4th at the box office, dropped down to like 6, 8, 9, 8, back up, back down. It's since garnered a cult following. It made more than its money back. It made double its budget. It made like $20 million on like a $9 million budget, basically. So it made some money for the studio, but it wasn't the success that they were wanting to with the name of Stephen King attached. I think it's one of Stephen King's best adaptations. I think it's a great John Carpenter film. Is it top 5? No, but it's definitely top 10 for me as far as John Carpenter goes. I love it. The music he did once again with Alan Hogarth, absolutely amazing stuff there. The cues are amazing, but once again, you can tell that he's not putting everything into it. This isn't The Thing. This isn't Escape from New York. This isn't The Fog. This isn't Halloween. This isn't Assault on Precinct 13. This doesn't have 100% of John Carpenter, but it has just enough of John Carpenter to make an excellent goddamn film. So for me, Christine is a beast. I love the special effects. And by the way, as I was saying, once he watched this movie, he thought it wasn't hard enough. So they went in and they refilmed some things. In particular, the scene where Christine pulls herself back together after the bullies bash up on her, right? Not every actor is great in this movie, but I think Arnie is amazing. That's what needs to carry the film. There is a loss of focus at times, I think, narratively about this. I can ding it a little bit for that. But for the most part, I can't ding it too much. For me, Christine gets 4.5. You digs. That's the score I gave it when we talked about it on Dylan's Horror Show. On the rewatch, I watched it today, woke up, smoked a bowl, watched a movie, and now I'm talking about it. It still holds up. It still has that special place. Anybody else, I think, who says otherwise is a shitter. Anyway, I love this fucking movie. Christine gets 4.5, you digs. What do you think? All right. So that's the Christine review. Let's take a look at the comments. Hey, Bob from Everything Comics is in the house. Station, Bob. Good evening, comic fam. Sorry I'm late, but I was hanging out shooting the breeze with my buddy Bueller. We had a great time. Hell yeah, Bueller. Were you out there trying to find this elusive Bueller ninja fucking... Bueller's going on a Easter egg hunt, basically. Bob, by the way, I saw your message that you sent me on Thanksgiving. I never responded to you. I'm a piece of shit. You're not. I love you. Thank you so much for the kind words, and I cannot wait to chat with you. We got to bring you back on the channel soon. I love you so much, Bob. Station. I'm sorry I didn't get back to you. I had so many messages that day that I just watched them, and I was not in the good headspace on Thanksgiving, to be honest with you. And I just went through all my messages, and I just kind of ignored them, and then it all got buried. Bob, I just want to say this to you personally, even though other people are here. I fucking love you. Thank you. You said exactly what I needed to hear. I love you, brother. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Stefan says, missing link, Steph says something that I wholeheartedly agree with. Planetary is one of the best stories ever told. I agree. Ouroboros says, was he ever convicted of anything? No, he wasn't. He was basically... My rubber band came loose. How to say this delicately? Okay, so basically, Warren Ellis was popular, and he had a lot of women who were into his work. And he used the power that he had over people that respected his work to try to lean into sexual situations or shit like that, right? So basically, basically the whole story with Warren Ellis is that he turned out to be a lonely old man creep, right? That was trying to get like nude pics, topless pics of like 20-year-olds who were big fans of his work. And then some people came out and were talking. I don't know I don't know. I wasn't there. I just know Warren Ellis as a creator. As a creator, that's amazing. As far as the stuff that's been thrown out, and there were a lot of people that came out with similar stories. Warren Ellis not necessarily a good dude, okay? At certain times in certain aspects. None of us are. And one of the things I don't like about this hard edge, like, I don't want to use the word cancel culture, but I'll use it so you kind of get the vibe of what I'm going with. there's no nuance allowed in that. You know what I'm saying? And the people that had issues with Warren, they've apparently dealt them out. But so many other people jump on board, and it becomes a trendy thing to be like, oh yeah, I think Warren Ellis is a piece of shit too. Am I cool? Like, am I your friend? And I don't like that, right? I don't like that. I feel like Warren Ellis had some serious accusations leveled against him. Not legal accusations, but like personal ones, right? I don't think that shit should have been aired in the public. I think that's between him and them. But at the same time, I'm a fucking dude living my life, doing my thing, right? I'm also a fan of Warren Ellis, so I'm going to be biased, I guess. But he was never accused of like rape or anything like that. That never was any of the thing. Basically, the idea was that he was a little bit of a creep when it came to young gothy women in their early 20s. And sure. That being said, I don't know. I've spent so long not actually commenting too much on this because I don't know how to say it, because I understand the perspectives on both sides. I can feel both perspectives. I understand it, right? I can put myself in those shoes in certain aspects. Now, I'm still a dude, so I can't put myself in the shoes of what it's like to be a woman in today's world. However, plenty more people in this industry who have done and have been accused and convicted of way worse. And if you scrutinize any artist too much, you're going to find some shit you don't want to see. And that being said, I do think that Warren Ellis has attempted to make the change that he felt was necessary. And I think it's time for us to welcome him back. That's just me. Hey, Steph just watched Slumberland because he thought of Bob. Bob was really high on that book. I remember, or really high on that show. I remember hearing about that. Cinder says, comic shops don't really look out for the customers like they look out for themselves. I don't know why they talk about them like they're reliable. Well, I actually run a comic shop, and I would highly disagree with that, Cinder. My comic shop, we look after ourselves, but we look after our customers, because without our customers, we don't make no fucking money. So we're trying to keep our customers pleased. That's the whole point, at least of my business. Maybe not everybody's business, but I think it should be. If you're running a business, I think there's got to be a line where you allow customers to come up to. They don't cross that line, because once customers cross the line, you're no longer a customer, you're a buster. You know what I'm saying? However, in any business, your customers make you allowed to do business. Keep your customers happy. At my shop, everything we do pretty much is catered to the customer. When a book, for instance, hits hot, right? That always happens. Right? Where there'll be a book coming out and it's going for $10 to $15 to $20 online already because it's somebody's random first appearance or some shit like that. You know what we do at my shop? I've heard stories of other shops that hoard it all back, put it online, or raise the price. This is what we do. Everybody who pre-ordered the comic, you get one. You pre-ordered it. A pre-order is a guaranteed sale. That's why we love pre-orders in the comic shops. If you didn't, what we do on a hot book like that, we'll pull it off the shelves. Why? Because we know that some people are going to come in there and try to buy as many copies as they can. And even if I go, bruh, you can't buy us out of this hot book, some people will just cleverly, we got a lot of cameras in our store. I've seen it. I've seen it. People will actually do what I used to do when I was like a kid collecting X-Men action figures from Toy Biz and go hide shit in the fucking store. So we'll watch people just go hide some shit in the dollar bin or in a trade paperback section or somewhere else. Like they're hiding in like, I don't know, some random fucking place in backstock nobody's going to check. You know, like Power Pack or some shit like that, right? What the fuck? So what we do is we pull the book off the shelf, we have it at the counter, and we go, we'll do one per person at cover price. Because this is the way I think. I want to sell as many of these books too. Now, obviously, I want to sell out. And so many people will go, well, I want to buy all your copies left. Don't you want to sell them all? Yes, but I want to sell them all to as many people as possible. Because it's good business. If I have 20 copies of a hot book and sell it to one person, I make that one person really happy. Everybody else comes in pissed that I'm sold out. But if I limit them and sell them at cover, one per person, then I sell those 20 copies. That's just a random number. Maybe it's 50, maybe it's 100. I sell those 20 copies to 20 people. I am hoping that at least half of them come back to buy issue number 2. That's what I want. I want everybody to have the chance. DC did hire Frank Miller. Frank Miller was a big DC guy, but he had a good relationship with Dan DiDio. And when Dan DiDio got ousted from DC, Frank and him made a deal. That's what happened. That's what Frank Miller Presents is all about. The car corrupts the guy, Consensual. You're right. However, he allows himself to be corrupted. Even though multiple times in that film, he is reminded by his girlfriend and by his best friend and by his family, even though his family are kind of, he's a teenager, right? But he's reminded, he's given plenty of chances to turn it around. Lars says, I have seen a great deal of Carpenter films, but my all-time favorite will be Escape from New York. Even bought the soundtrack. Great soundtrack. Bob says, I didn't know that history. The Thing is one of the greatest horror films of all time. Just goes to show you what Hollywood knows. Exactly. And what the audience knows sometimes. In 1982, everybody was crazy about E.T. and Poltergeist. They didn't give a shit about Blade Runner and The Thing. Do you think The Thing and that Blade Runner are better films than E.T. or Poltergeist? I do. I love E.T. I love Poltergeist. But The Thing and Blade Runner are classics. Top 10 movies for me. Christine and the Shitters. We need to start a band, Steph. Bro, when the car reforms after it's destroyed, and Carpenter told, what's the dude who plays Arnie's name? I can't remember. Keith Gordon, right? He became a director. He's directed a lot of like Dexter episodes and shit. But Carpenter told him, perform like you're watching your girlfriend striptease for you. That movie's gets into it. I'm surprised we ain't got a scene of him fucking the gas tank. That's all I'm saying. Let us not speak of Ghost of Mars. We'll get there, figure drawing. Unfortunately. Lars says, I love Dark Star. Let there be light. I love Dark Star too. That's a good one. Eventually, when we're done, we're going to clip all of it together, and you'll have all of my Jonathan Carpenter filmography reviews together in one thing. Poor Power Pack. So if the books are behind the table, why won't he sell it before Wednesday? Nobody cares. I'll tell you why. Because Diamond actually sends people out every so often. They will come in on Tuesday and try to get the employees of a comic shop to sell the comics that are releasing the next day. And if they sell those comics released on the next day, it's a secret shopper who does it. They will get hit and they'll lose their early delivery. And back in the days, comics released on Wednesday still, but we would get them on Wednesday. So people would be at my shop as we open, and they would have to wait till 1 till we were done processing the shipment. Now we get the books early, but one of the things of that is we have to participate through Diamond in a secret shopper program. So secret shoppers come in every so often, probably about 4 to 3 times a year. They'll come in on Tuesday and try to get the employees to sell the books early. And if they do, they will lose the ability to receive the books early. So that's why comic shops care. Sean Murphy says, kids should get there on their bikes on Wednesday, ride to their local comic shops, and know they got something coming. Absolutely. Ganja Bar's Medium is in the house. Station. He wants to thank Bob for showing him Star Wars Visions. He absolutely loved it. Second printing coming soon if you missed it. Jordan says, my LCS has my back on all my interests. Set the last of the hottest aside for me each week to grab as a pass or an option. That's another thing. Get good. Like, be a good customer. Get in with your comic shop dudes or dudettes. You never know. We do not need All-Star Batman and Robin to ever come back, Steph. I'll tell you that. Consensual says, that's me on 1 in 10 and 1 in 25s. So take them all. That's where the money... So Consensual, if you have problems getting books from your shop, I highly encourage you to check out any other shop. However, I will tell you this. My personal shop, you reach out to us. Let us know who you are. Hey, I'm Consensual from PCP Army. I'm here from Rockin Robbie's chat from Pop Culture Philosophers. We're going to take care of you. We take care of all of our customers. But any of y'all that ever have come in and let us know, like, we've taken care of many people. So, yeah, if you ever have a problem and you can't find somewhere to get your shit, including ratios, let us know. I'll hook you up. Green Bay just scored 20-20, extra point incoming. Wild game. Extra point missed. Oh my goodness. That's going to come back to haunt them. My shop is called The Deep Comics and Games. I'll write it out there. You can find us on Facebook. That's the best place to get in touch with us, actually, is on Facebook. Or just me personally on any of our socials, Instagram, Facebook. Sometimes, if I don't follow you, it goes to my, I guess, message request folder, which is filled with people just wanting me to check out their indie comics. So, that may not be the best option, actually. I miss a lot of messages because of that. But the Deep Comics and Games, Mike is here. He's showing us too. Hell yeah. Fancy, I do edit my own videos, and I do very little editing. That's why there's little editing in my videos. Maybe one day I'll be like one of the big dogs. Like our friends. Some of our friends are the big dogs. They get to pay people to edit their videos. I can't do that right now. But yeah, the Deep Comics and Games. Find us on Facebook. Message us. Let us know. Tell us that you're from the PCP Army. And you'll get that PCP Army discount. All right, y'all. We're nearing the end of 2022. Which means that we are nearing the end of the 30th anniversary of Image. Which means it's very appropriate tonight that it's time for Image in the 90s. And we're continuing our look at Youngblood with the final issue of Youngblood Volume 1, number 10. A big issue with a great cover promising some Chapel versus Spawn action, and it promises us the death of Chapel. So let's take a look. First of all, written, penciled, and illustrated and created by Rob Liefeld. Now, Eric Stevenson on the story as well, and the scripting, Danny Mickey and Jonathan Sabal on the inks, and Kiko Takanashi doing his last coloring job for Extreme, along with Christian Lichtner, and, of course, Extreme Colors as well, and Kurt Hathaway on the lettering. So we start off, and the last issue was that Jim Valentino Image X crossover thing, but this one is back to the original scheduled programming. We got Spawn confronting Chapel. And Chapel is there basically confronting Spawn saying, I want to know how you came back from the dead, right? And Spawn's like, you don't want to know this story. But he tells him the story. He's like, yo, you killed me. I died. They eventually changed that to Jessica Priest when Rob got ousted from Image. But he's like, yo, I died. I went to hell. I made a deal. I came back. And Chapel's like, yo, you beat death. And now you just told me that I can too. Then we go back to Youngblood on their latest mission where they were fighting Blackrock and some villain with the Maddock, right? And then this dude named Warwolf showed up. It's basically Sabretooth. So he shows up. He's got some history with Nightsaber. So him and Nightsaber kind of duke it out. We got some really great coloring on these pages. The coloring is inconsistent in this issue. The coloring's inconsistent. The artwork, I think, is actually pretty solid here. It's an oversized issue. We'll get into all that. But Nightsaber versus Warwolf, we get this idea that they have some kind of connection. I don't know if this has already been elaborated on in Team Youngblood or something like that, because I haven't read any of that stuff. And honestly, because of the expansion of the Extreme universe, it makes the last half of Youngblood Volume 1 feel a bit disconnected and jarring, right? But they have some kind of past, and apparently Warwolf can turn into a fucking monster. So what if Sabretooth turned into the Krampus? That's basically what we got going on here. And then we got the two newbies showing up. We've already been introduced to a slew of new characters in recent issues. It's like Rob Liefeld's kind of doing his Kirby here. He's trying to do crazy creation. He's trying to create new concepts, new characters every day. But unfortunately, Kirby's able to take concepts, tweak them, and make them feel fresh. Rob kind of just mimics shit, right? So this is Silence. She's the Psylocke character. And then the other character is this character named Task. I thought both of these characters were lame when I first saw them in issue number 8. But here, they actually take a good spotlight. First of all, Rob Liefeld, like, do bodies move like that? And if so, that's going to be some good sex. But we get some badass shit from Silence and from Task. Task starts just like killing people, fucking slaughtering them in a really cool action sequence and a badass scene right there where I'm like, is this Prophet Shatterstar? Prophet plus Shatterstar equals Task. That's pretty much it. Then we get a double page spread. Badrock versus Blackrock. Blackrock's like, bruh, we're from the same experiment by your dad. We're getting some more of that history. Which may be alluded to in other places, but not in the pages of Youngblood, except for in these little tidbits. And he's throwing out that you're a disappointment to your dad and all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, Task shows up, fucking cuts off Blackrock's head. Doesn't mean anything. Blackrock just puts his head right back on, and he's totally cool. Then we get one of these centerfold spreads where Silence is like, all right, I'll use my mental powers, because she's kind of like a Psylocke type character, uses her mental powers to take out, look at the head, by the way, the decapitated head in front of Blackrock there. I love it. She takes out Blackrock with her psychic powers. And then we get a nice, like, Playboy-esque centerfold here. And then we go right back to Chapel and Spawn. So Spawn has told Chapel what it took to come back from the dead, making a deal with the devil, or a devil, we should say, Malbolgia, right? And Chapel then goes on and on about how his life has sucked. He's been sent off to this other team, to Bloodstrike. He's been doing this, and he's just not happy. His life has gone down, but now Spawn has given him the secret to everything. So he puts the gun to his head, and trigger warning, I guess, but he pulls the trigger, and seriously, if gun violence and suicide is not your thing, you don't want to see this next page, which I think is awesome. Chapel blows his fucking head off. What an awesome fucking image. Now, it says Rob Liefeld after Platt. Is this a reference to something that we're going to see in Prophet? Is this a reference to just him putting together the layout? I don't know where this initial image by Platt came from, but this is Rob Liefeld doing it. Blows his brains out, man. And we finally get to know that 100% those weird things on his head are communication devices. And then Al just is like, no. This is a really cool dude. I get it, man. Jesus, I love that double page spread. I thought that was great. Spawn freaks out. Then we go back to the battle. Warwolf is about to take out Nightsaber, and Task is there, and then Nightsaber like throws down, starts kicking his ass. They reference this past that they have, almost as if it's like a Wolverine Sabretooth type thing. He's about to take him out, and then a bunch of arrows pop up in Warwolf's back, knocks him out, and it's Shaft with a bunch of other diehards, and he's like, yeah, mate, you could have come to me a little bit sooner, eh? But then the big villain is still there. I have no idea who the fuck this guy is. I guess I need to read some Team Youngblood, but this is Maddock, who allegedly killed Combat, though they let us know in the caption down there that Combat's not actually dead. Team Youngblood is something I want to get into, but he does eventually get taken out pretty easily. Some really great work here. Now, yeah, you can look at Shaft in that middle panel and be like, yo, what's up with the anatomy there? What's up with the composition? I get it. But look at that far right panel. That's pretty dope. Then we cut to an interlude where we get this guy. It's basically Ninjak from the Valiant universe shows up, but his name is Link. I guess that's an original name. I guess Rob Liefeld liked Nintendo. But he's taking out these dudes. He comes through a portal. He's like beheading people. Like Rob Liefeld's throwing all the beheadings and decapitations into this issue. And then a big double page splash where he meets Colonel Bravo, basically Cable. He shows up and he's like, yo, you're here. He's like, yep. And now we got a lot of work to do. And then we cut right back to the aftermath of the battle of Youngblood and the bad guys. Troll's like, great job. And everybody's like, bro, you didn't do shit, right? Then all of a sudden, Silence gets this premonition. She gets this psychic blast. And she goes, we've just lost one of our own, and it's going to be a big, big fucking deal. And basically, it's Chapel, having killed himself, is now going to hell, I guess, to make some kind of deal with the devil and to fuck everything up. And this leads directly into the Extreme Sacrifice crossover, which we may cover at some point, but we definitely ain't covering it anytime soon because it took some time to get through 10 issues of Youngblood. This issue was really good because I think this issue did a really great job of having a lot of different things going on and balancing them. And this has been a problem with Youngblood. It's a team book. There are a lot of people involved. There's a lot of stories, but they set up things. They don't follow them up, or they follow them up in another book. I haven't read all of these other ones. The artwork is inconsistent. Basically, Youngblood is a cool book, I think, but it is inconsistent. I think this issue is a little bit better. Coloring's decent. It's not perfect in every single page. And the inking is really solid. And I think there's some wonky bits in the artwork, but for the most part, it's got energy, it's got dynamism, and it works for me. I love these centerfold things. I used to hate those when I was a kid, but I actually love them now. I love this Spawn Chapel bit, using this to set up things. There's a lot of moving parts happening in this issue. And Eric Stevenson does his best job yet of plotting everything together. Now, this is an exercise issue. It's over 30 pages. There's that. I fucking love that page. I think it's awesome. I think it looks cool. Spawn's reaction. Win 1 year of Image comic books for free. So what, you get like 15 comics? Anyway. So they're actually balancing a lot of stuff out, setting up some stuff, bringing it to a finale, to a finish, and to a setup. And I actually like this issue. I thought it was pretty solid. My problem with Youngblood overall, though, is that it is inconsistent. We still don't know who Colonel Bravo is. We're introducing more new characters. We don't know what the hell is going on in the pages of Youngblood, for the most part. But maybe I need to read Team Youngblood. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I will. I definitely will one day. Love that last page. And then at the end, there's this nice big thing, a Robservations. Is this the first Robservations? I don't know. But he basically talks about how the book is over. It's on a hiatus. It's coming back. But right now, they're doing the Extreme Sacrifice crossover, which is going to cross over with, I know it's Brigade and Bloodstrike and Prophet, but what else? Newman, Supreme, Team Youngblood. Yeah. So we'll get to that one day. But overall, Youngblood, an inconsistent series. Artwork-wise, inconsistent. Story-wise, inconsistent. To me, the peak is the Prophet story from like 2 to 4. I think those are the peaks. Issue 6 is really good. There's some good bits here and there, but the last half of Youngblood really does feel kind of jarring and disconnected. There is things about this world I like, things about this world I hate. But I will give the final issue 3.5 you digs, and I do think that's being generous. But anyway, Youngblood number 10, pretty decent, some great stuff. I love that double-page splash of Chapel blowing his head off. But that's what I think about Youngblood. It's been a long road, y'all. We've made it through 10 issues. Now we get to move on to bigger and brighter things. Just maybe. And this has been Image in the 90s. All right, we're taking a quick break. When we come back, though, we're going to be talking about Green with Evil. We'll be doing a little bit of show and tell here on Rockin' Robbie Live.
Hey there, everyone. Come join us here at the Experience this Monday, November 28th at 6 p.m. Eastern. The whole gang will be here, and we're going to be talking about some of our favorite Dynamite titles, Marvel titles, DC, and more. So remember, it's going to be November 28th, 6 p.m. Eastern, only on the Experience. Can't wait to see you then.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Rockin Robbie Live here on Pop Culture Philosophers. I am your host, Rockin Robbie. Tonight we've already had such a great time talking about movies, comics, pop culture, and a whole lot more. We talked about the DC comics coming out this upcoming week. We talked about Christine, the latest step in our journey through the chronological filmography of John Carpenter. And then we just finished Image in the 90s, where we wrapped up our look at all 10 issues of Youngblood Volume 1. We never did the 0 issue, so be warned. That may be approaching. Next week, we're not doing any of the Image in the 90s, no Marvel in the 90s, no movie review. Maybe we'll do the movie review, because it's the next movie review for John Carpenter is Starman. So maybe we'll do that. I don't know. Because tomorrow or next week, the Cowboys are playing on Sunday Night Football, and we're doing yet another live stream, live watch along with the Cowboys-Colts game on Sunday Night Football. We'll be doing the DC sneak peek. We'll be doing some other tidbits here and there, but we're going to be having some fun, drinking, watching the football game, and the super chat menus are going to be open. And last time we did that, I got really drunk and went on some rants. So maybe we'll do that again. You never know what's going to happen. Next week's going to be fun, y'all. I guarantee it. Support us at patreon.com/PCP, like these fine PCP patrons right there, or support us with the super chat tonight. Or follow us on Pop Culture Philosophers at Facebook or on Instagram. If you're on Facebook, join the PCP Army, the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group, and you can follow me at Twitter or on Twitter at the Rockin Robbie. And also, we got a Whatnot invite code, whatnot.com/invite/the Rockin Robbie, I believe, link in the description below. If you've never tried out Whatnot, now's a great time to check it out, because if you go through that link, Whatnot on behalf of us is going to give you $15. So that's pretty dope if you're signing up for a new account. Also, if you're ever at dynamicforces.com, lots of the cool stuff that we sell over at the Experience can be available there, and you can save some money at dynamicforces.com all the time with code Robbie. Robbie will give you 10% off that. All those links in the description below, including links to our site, popculturephilosophers.com, and links to merch and all that kind of stuff. They had some great sales on the merch this week, so we appreciate all the support. But all the support that we really need is a like, a share, a subscribe, and participation in the show. Tomorrow night, after the show over at the EXP, we're concluding our look at the Godfather series on PCP Movie Night as we discuss and review and analyze The Godfather Part 3. That's on PCP Movie Night tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Time. Then we start our Christmas PCP Fest, our Xmas Fest. We've already done the first episode, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. We talked about that on Friday. If you missed that show, definitely check it out. But on December 5th, we're going to be talking about Go, an excellent movie that we covered on Blame Fable Tonight a few months ago, but it inspired me to revisit it here on PCP because it is one of my favorite Christmas movies. And then we got Batman Returns, another one of my favorite Christmas movies. So very excited to chat about those. And then join us for Dylan's Horror Show on Saturday night when we talk about Storm of the Century, a Stephen King miniseries available right now on Hulu. All right. How's everybody doing? Let's look at the chat. Sean says, this is my jam. I was the dumb kid in the 90s who said, screw Marvel, Image is where it's at. Man, Marvel deserved it. Ultra extreme, hell yeah. Lars says, have bought a few Youngbloods, Bad Rock vs. Violator, Judgment Day, and Supreme. The last three written by Alan Moore. Lots of Alan Moore work at Image back in the day. They were paying him like, I've heard Todd paid him 100 G's for his work on Spawn. And then I heard that at Extreme and some of his other work that he did for Wildstorm, because he did Wildcats for a big run. I have every issue of that. We'll have to go through that sometime. That's a really good run, actually. And I love Wildcats. I really do. When I was a kid, 30 years ago, so 30 years ago, I'm fucking 12, basically. I'm 11 to 12. And I am very excited for Wildcats. I was getting into Spawn, but I wasn't a Youngblood fan. I never read it. I didn't read Cyberforce. I didn't read Shadowhawk. I didn't read Savage Dragon. But when I was young, my favorite out of all of the Image founders was Jim Lee, and I did follow Wildcats. And then I love the Alan Moore run. I love the Joe Casey run in Volume 2 and Volume 3.0. And I really do like what they're doing Wildcats right now. I do. But it doesn't capture... I think the best Wildcats, though, is the Joe Casey stuff. I really do. Wildcats Volume 2 starts with Scott Lobdell for like the first 5 or 6 issues, and then Joe Casey takes over and leads it into 3.0. That shit's so good. That shit's so good. Dustin Nguyen on the artwork for 3.0, by the way. Really good stuff. And what's his name? I see somebody mention him earlier, but I used to always say Travis Charest, but I've heard people say like Travis Shari or something like that. How do you say his name? I love his work. And his first few issues of Wildcats Volume 2 blew my fucking mind, y'all. Oh my God. Good stuff. Ouroboros says, would you ever go over the Goddessy? I wish there was a follow-up to... I'm not familiar with that one. I'll have to check that one out. I'll write it down. We'll see if I ever revisit that page. I hope so. Sean says, Chapel, Prophet, Pitt, Cyberforce, whatever comic Ripclaw was in, those were my shit. Hell yeah, Sean. We've revisited this year, for the 30th anniversary of Image, we did Savage Dragon 1 through 3, the miniseries. We did Cyberforce, the first miniseries, the first 4 issues of Wildcats, the first 10 issues of Youngblood, Shadowhawk number 0. I want to do the first Shadowhawk series probably in 2 weeks. I think that's going to be like the final encapsulation of like the Founders Image books. We didn't cover Spawn, but I talk about Spawn a lot on this channel. And what else? Well, we did Shadowhawk 0. We did Wildstar. We did Darker Image, which was the start of like Pitt and the Max. And yeah, there's going to be more Image in the 90s coming. It's not just a 30th anniversary thing. We're going to be getting back on track with some Marvel in the 90s, maybe some DC in the 80s, maybe some DC or Marvel in the 70s, but we will continue doing looks at Image in the 90s. Trust me. You know, I love doing Marvel in the 90s. I love doing these comic book segments, but I used to try to go too far into them, right? Let's do a whole storyline. Sometimes it's good to do that. Like when we did Savage Dragon, which, by the way, another tangent. Tangents upon tangents upon tangents. Worlds within worlds. What was I saying? God damn it. I lost it. I don't even know what I was saying now. Fucking lost it doing the whole tangents upon tangents bit. Oh, when I was younger, Wildcats was my favorite Image founding book. Now, after revisiting all of these, Shadowhawk. Jesus. We still got to do Shadowhawk, the Jim Valentino stuff. We did the Rob Liefeld #0, which I thought was fucking awesome, actually. Nowadays, it's Savage Dragon. That first 3 issues of Savage Dragon, that miniseries, holy shit, that's good. I was talking with my homie Richard about that this week, so hell yeah. Savage Dragon's the shit, is what I'm trying to say. Lars says, early Image and my favorites are Savage Dragon, Freak Force, Dart, The Deadly Duo, and Super Patriot, and of course the Max. Sean loved the Max cartoon. I love the Max cartoon as well. A lot of rip-off-ish characters in that one issue, and don't worry, Rob ain't done. Go Green Bay, says Sean. Also says Newman was okay. Mark McGrath is here, who may or may not be the lead singer of the fantastic band Sugar Ray. I like to think he is, but if he's not, I still love you, brother. Said Extreme did a lot of crossovers, starting with Extreme Sacrifice. Yeah, I know that I went through, I collected that Prophet Volume 1 run with Liefeld and then Platt. I'm really excited to get into that Stephen Platt stuff because that's like I'm there. I want to see 128 bullet shells on a fucking page. So I'm excited to dive into that. I know that the big fight with Bloodstrike is a crossover part of that. We'll get to it. Lars says, I almost forgot Alan Moore was writing Wildcats. Travis Shari, I've heard so many different ways, is one of my all-time artists. Yeah, I love him too. Steph says, the Wildcats Spawn team up went hard. I have every issue of that for sure. We'll cover it. The X-Men Wildcats that Charist did. Some of my all-time favorite interiors, says Fable. Fable, I have all 4 issues of that. What was it? Golden Age, Silver Age, Dark Age, and Modern Age. I have all 4 of those. It was a different artist in each issue, though, wasn't it? Didn't Chris Sprouse did one of them, maybe? Well, I got to dig those out, y'all. Evil Face Bad is in the house. Is anybody else smoking while playing Xbox? I'm on that NBA 2K. I don't have an Xbox. My newest system is the Wii, but I mostly play SNES, NES, and 2600. I do have a Genesis Mini, though, that I love, that my homie Hammer Time Holshoe got me. All right, y'all, what's Travis's last name? Shari? I've heard so many different ways to say it. Lars says, the greatest Christmas movie ever, Scrooged, with Bill Murray. I love Scrooged, Lars. We covered it last year for PCP Xmas Fest. So definitely check out that review when you have some time. Yeah, Eric, after he started doing... this is the thing. People... This is the way it works. In Marvel or DC, you come in, you're emulating a house style, right? And then you get a certain amount of influence, right? And you can now develop and fully express your style. Barry Windsor Smith started out kind of looking like Kirby, became his own thing, way outside of Kirby, right? Travis doing Jim Lee type stuff. Even Mark Silvestri was tempted to go into that Jim Lee vibe because that was what was selling. But when Travis starts working on Wildcats 2, Volume 2, y'all, I love that shit so much. We got it. I love it. Where's the Christmas film, Die Hard or Black Christmas? Well, we've covered both of those already on PCP Movie Night. So that's why we're doing Batman Returns and Go. I love those movies. But on this channel for Christmas, we've already done, let's see, we did Black Christmas, Gremlins. That was last year. No, that was 2 years ago. Last year we did A Muppet Christmas Carol and Scrooged. This year we're doing Go and Batman Returns. Yeah, the Wildstorm by Warren Ellis and John Davis Hunt. Loved it. Wanted to see that explore out further. Trade Paper Dad in the house. What's the best Image comic out right now? I have a lot of Image on my pull list. There's a lot of good ones. Most of the best comics are from Image, in my opinion. Right now, the best Image comic is Ice Cream Man and has been for like 5 years. Charist. Why do I hear people say Shari? Sal says Moore wrote 3 issues of Glory. Are you a Star Wars fan? And if so, what's your take on the divide in the fandom? Well, Steph says, get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, Matthew, problem fixed. That might be true. I do like Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars fan. I like to joke around and say I don't take Star Wars seriously. It's not like it's Star Trek. I am a big Star Trek fan. There's not a battle between Star Wars and Star Trek fans. That's all bullshit. It's just a bit, right? I like Star Wars. I like a lot of Star Wars. I didn't necessarily like the newest, I guess the sequel trilogy or whatever you want to call it. I did like Solo. There have been things I like the Obi-Wan series. Excuse me. I'm only 4 episodes into Andor, but I'm really liking that. Excuse me. Jesus. I hear that it keeps getting better. And I watched that on our friend Alex Pagnadell's behest. He told me just watch the first 3 episodes, then decide. And I liked it, but there's a lot going on in my life with what to watch and what to cover, right? So I want to finish that. That being said, my opinion on the divide is the same opinion I have on the divide on anything. The divide right now in fandom on Star Wars, on Star Trek, that's there too. On Marvel or on DC or on comics in general or pop culture in general, it's this. It's the same as politics, y'all. Like, you're being manipulated to go one way or the other. You are right now being manipulated by media to choose one side versus the other in every faction of your life. That's what's going on right now, okay? They want you to be for old Star Wars, but versus against new Star Wars. They want you to be against new Trek or for new Trek. They want you to be for the left or for the right. They want you to be for Marvel or for DC. They don't like people that are discerning, that intake and consume and choose their own fucking thing. Choose what they like based on what they like. They don't want us to like fiction and content. They call it content now, right? They don't want us to like content based on our views and our values. They want us to like it based on their values, whether it's this side or this side. That's what they want. So anybody who is so wholeheartedly on either side of any of this us versus them bullshit, in my opinion, you're being manipulated. You got to break that off. It's like Odysseus said to his crewmen in the Odyssey when they were coming across the waters of the sirens. You got to put the blinders up. You got to protect what comes in. Don't allow just venomous fucking shit come in your brain. Whether it's somebody being like, new Star Wars is woke and it fucking sucks. Or whether it's people being like, new Star Wars is diverse and it's politically sound and correct and it's the right path. Fuck all that noise. Consume what you want to consume. Discern from what you consume. What you like. Focus on what you like. We are being manipulated as people right now into division, into divisiveness. And it's happening in pop culture, and it extends beyond that into the real fucking shit, okay? And I think pop culture is as real as it gets, okay? But in every faction of American postmodern life right now, they want us to choose sides. I say, choose the side of you. Anyway. Yes, it's pronounced Charest. Okay, so it is Travis Charest. Thank you. David Finch clarified it in a draw stream. That said, David doesn't use the correct French pronunciation because he is used to saying it the way it looks. All right, that's cool. Sorry about that rant. But that's how I feel. Don't be manipulated, y'all. It's easy to be influenced and manipulated. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to celebrate what we love and to criticize what we don't, but for the right reasons. Sinner thinks the media manipulating us into choosing us versus them is a conspiracy theory and we must be in high school. That's fine. Think what you think, brother. I'm happy for you. But that's not how I see it. Bob says, I just keep singing that old sham 69 song. If the kids are united, they'll never be divided. Stay out of letting the system divide me from my peeps. Hell yeah, brother. I'm going to get censored? I doubt it. Why you want to censor me? I'm the salt of the earth, a city on a hill. See my lights twice as bright. I'm going to show you something real. So don't censor me. I don't give a shit. I have been so anti-censorship my entire life. Fuck censoring anything. Albert says, I think that's pretty well stated. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated. Figure drawing says, individuality can never be understated. We can turn that into a rhyme. I think it's pretty well stated. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated. Individuality can never be understated. And that's why we all go, hey, station. It didn't really rhyme, but whatever. Chocos26 says, well said, bro. We agree here. Hell yeah, thank you. Trade Paper Dad, so like Star Trek and 7 of 9 made me feel some type of way back in the day. And that's okay, Trade Paper Dad. Mark says, I'm pretty much on the same page, Robbie, except for me, it's all percentages. All right. First of all, there's my Christine Blu-ray I forgot to show off in the last segment. So I read this week. I read this Demon Slayer Volume 1. Demon Slayer is one of the best-selling comics at my shop. We sell a shit ton of this. It's a popular anime and manga. And I've never watched the anime, but I decided, you know what? Let me check this out. My buddy Jay Strick's a big fan of this. I was like, let me check it out. Let me see what they're doing. Whatever. This is a pretty solid book. I actually liked it. I thought it was good. It's definitely geared more towards a younger audience, but it still has levels of sophistication. It has darkness. It has tragedy in it. It's kind of like an American vampire story. Imagine a dude's family is killed by vampires, but his sister is turned. So now he's trying to save his sister's life by protecting her as a vampire and trying to become a vampire hunter. But just take the vampires and turn it into like Japanese demons. This is actually a pretty solid book, and I will continue to read it. I like the art. I like the pace. I like the flow. I really like this book. Anybody else out there reading Demon Slayer? I know that's some normie shit to talk about, but I was like, this is one of the best-selling comics at my shop. I need to at least read the first volume. That's the way I looked at it, and that's why I did. Lars says, the hate for Star Wars Episode 7 to 9 is ridiculous compared to the catastrophe that was the prequels. Then I am not the target audience. What is the purpose of manipulating us? Towards what end do they do it? They do it for this, Matthew. This is what I think. They're manipulating us because We will spend money. That's it. Like, they want us to choose sides because by choosing sides, we choose a brand loyalty. It's Coke, Pepsi, right? That's what it is. By choosing sides and identifying yourself with, say, a movement or an ideology or anything like that, you can now be easier manipulated into buying stuff. That's why. It's all about making money. It's all about profit. It's not about dividing us just to keep us divided so that they can do... Yeah, there's all that shit too, right? We're not on the Teen Dogs night, right? We're not on that vibe, but there's that too. But mostly this is what it is. You divide people, you get them brand loyal. Now it's easier to manipulate them into spending money. That's what it is. They want us to spend the cheddar that we ain't got. Williams got all 23 volumes of Demon Slayer. Fancy Pants has read all of it. Sinner says you can't be manipulated or believe in conspiracy theories unless you want to. I disagree because the subconscious mind is a powerful thing. And if you don't have control over the subconscious, you won't have control over your conscious mind. Afro X in the house, a legendary station, my dudes. Billy, what is up? Mark says, just bread and circuses. Absolutely. I haven't watched Black Adam yet, Afro X. I tried to start it the other day, but I wasn't able to get into it. Albert says, bingo, it's always to make them richer. Fucking actors. Pieces of shit. Lars, I don't know. I really like Andor. Alex Packnadell told me you have to get through 3 episodes at once. And I was not liking Andor in episode 1 and 2. But at the end of 3, I was sold. 4 slowed back down, but they're telling the story in, like, I guess 3 episodes arcs or something. I like Andor. From what I've seen, only 4 episodes in. Now, the whole thing is completed. All right, I wanted to do a whole bit, find images and all that shit, but I just didn't have time. But I did watch Green with Evil. We talked about it last week. We lost JDF, Jason David Frank, who played the Green Ranger, and I said, let's revisit. And so I did. So I revisited the Green Ranger saga. This is my DVD collection of the entire Power Rangers. That's the first 3 seasons right there, all the way through the Ninja Zord shit, right? So I rewatched all 5 episodes of Green with Evil. Here are my thoughts on the revisit. Episode 1, Tommy gets introduced. He gets under the spell of Rita Repulsa, becomes evil, becomes the Green Ranger. He literally jumps into the Megazord. I confirmed what I said last week. He literally jumps into the Megazord, kicks their asses out of there, and just takes them out. Second episode, Jason gets captured, put into the dark dimension. He has to fight against Goldar. And now Tommy's just wrecking shit with the rest of the Power Rangers. Third episode, Jason eludes Goldar in the dark dimension because he hides in the fog, which I think is so stupid, but it was actually pretty tense for the show, for what it's trying to do. And Tommy's doing his thing, but they're holding back the Green Ranger right now. They resurrect Scorpina. It's the first time we see her. She's supposed to be a big deal, but they don't make her necessarily a big deal. I remember being a kid watching this stuff and being like, wait, when the fuck did Scorpina show up? Oh, it's during the Green Ranger shit, but she's like not really heavily utilized. So then Goldar comes out. Jason eventually, by the way, when Tommy shows up to the fucking, before he goes into the Megazord and kicks the Rangers out, he deactivates Alpha 5 and like fucking wrecks the command center, and Zordon's gone. So meanwhile, they're trying to figure out how to get Zordon back and all this shit. And then they eventually fix the transporters. They can lock onto Jason's signals. They get him out of there. Excuse me. Goldar leaves, but then Tommy shows up as the Green Ranger. He has this fight with Jason. When he's about to kill Jason, Jason gets transported out. And then they go back and they fight a giant Goldar and a giant Scorpina. and they're doing their shit. And then eventually Tommy shows up. Rita gives Tommy the Dragon Zord. She calls the Dragon Zord, and the Dragon Zord is wrecking shit. Also, Rita does the spell where she puts this eclipse up, right? So apparently the Megazord is powered by solar power, and so during an eclipse, it just runs out of power, and she literally destroys the fucking Megazords. They destroy the fucking Megazords. Then later on, Dragon Zord shows up. They're having to fight it, and then they coerce Tommy out of the Dragon Zord, and they fight him individually. Jason and Tommy have another fight together as the Red and Green Ranger. And this time, instead of trying to defeat his opponent, what happens is Jason destroys the Sword of Darkness, which is the weapon that the Green Ranger was using, given by Rita. That breaks the spell, right? When they break the spell, they get the Zords. Or first of all, when they bring Zordon back, they get the Zords back. That defeats Goldar and Scorpina. I'm all over the place on this, right? I watched them all over the course of the week. And then Tommy, now free from his spell, Jason immediately forgives him, says, I understand, and will you join us? And he joins, and then it's this whole new thing, and they show that the Dragon Zord can combine with the saber-toothed tiger and the Triceratops and the Mastodon and become Dragon Zord fighting mode or whatever the fuck. So they're selling toys. They should have held that. I'll tell you this. Rewatching it was bittersweet. I was really hurt by the passing of JDF. And once again, reach out to your friends. And if you're in a down spot, reach out to your friends. And when your friends reach out for you, be there. So it's a sad thing, the passing of JDF, but I really appreciated going back, because going back and revisiting this, it brought me back to why he was so important to me, why that character of Tommy Oliver was so important to me, because he starts as a bad seed. He starts needing to find redemption, and he eventually does find it, especially in the White Light when he becomes the White Ranger. It's pretty well crafted. I remember being there. This shit came on like at 4:30 or 5 at night. Power Rangers was done, at least on my local station, in the mornings. It was like 7 a.m. every day, right? And this one was done in the evenings or in the afternoon, right? And it was a big deal, this Green Ranger saga. And I remember Power Rangers is one of those things that made me realize what structure was, because every episode of Power Rangers is basically the fucking same structure. So I started picking out structure, and even to the point where I remember watching this and being like, oh, I think he's going to be a good guy. I wanted him to, I loved him being so badass and being better than them, but I wanted him to be on their side, and I was a fan of his ever since. And when Jason asks Tommy to join them, and he does, I was more excited for Power Rangers than ever. And I'm going to miss Jason David Frank. I met him a couple times. Super cool dude. A great hero of mine through the characters that he portrayed. And this was a nice revisit. Structurally, we can nitpick it. It should have been a 4-episode series, not 5. They really stretch it out between 3 and 4, I would say. They really stretch it out there. But I really, really did like it. I thought it was nice to revisit Green with Evil from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the debut of the Green Ranger with Jason David Frank. We now do a station identification for Jason. All right, y'all, show and tell time. Got some new Blu-rays. I showed these off on Dylan's Horror Show last night. Got these from Shout Factory. Going to show them off again. The Legend of Hell House, one of the best haunted house movies of the 70s. Love that film. The Curse of the Werewolf. This is the Hammer Films version of the Wolfman, basically. Oliver Reed, standout performance. Space Truckers. Limited to like only 1,000 or 2,000 prints. They were like 90% sold out. So I had to snatch it up. Available only from Shout Factory. This is a Stuart Gordon film starring, you ready? Charles Dance, Stephen Dorff, and Dennis fucking Hopper. Love that stupid movie. Then I picked up the Universal Horror Collection Volume 1 on Blu-ray, The Black Cat, The Raven, The Invisible Ray, and Black Friday. Now, The Black Cat is one of my personal favorite Universal horror films. And then I picked up The Brood by David Cronenberg. Loved this film. Picked it up on Criterion because I didn't have that on Blu-ray. Then I picked up some random ass loose figures. But I also picked up this cassette tape of Masters of the Universe Caverns of Fear. So I got to get a cassette player, a tape player, so I can play this and listen to it. But it's one of those things that would have come with a book or some shit. I picked up this 10-inch Wolverine that's all golden because I love these figures. I have the regular Wolverine, but I love these things. So I had the opportunity to get this, and I think I'm going to try to put it on a plaque and make it like a trophy. So when we have like retro video game nights, like the winner gets the trophy or something. Maybe, I don't know. Picked up this cool Mac Tonight fucking little figure. 80s McDonald's. I loved Mac Tonight. Loved that shit. All right, I finally got another loose Colossus. I still need one on card, but the one I had on card fell off the card and the arm broke, so I needed at least one loose to go with the rest of them. So I got my Colossus. Speaking of needing loose Toy Biz figures, I got a Storm. Same thing. She was originally on card and fell off of it, so I managed to pick it up. So let's see if the light still works. It does not. That's disappointing. But it's cool to have this figure loose. Oh, she feels slimy. Got to get her cleaned up. What else we got here? Anybody remember Captain Power? So I have one of the ships from Captain Power. I have the bad guy ship, but now I have the figure Captain Power. So now I just need his ship, and then some of those VHSs and a CRT TV, and we can play some old school Captain Power. But yeah, those who don't know need to know that's a big fucking deal. It's been a while since I picked up an Aquaman figure. I used to pick up every Aquaman figure I could, but I picked this one up, which is the Super Friends Aquaman figure. What I like about him is he comes with this and this base. So I assume that if you get all of them, it makes the logo for Super Friends. But you can also just have this there, and then you can put the Aquaman on the base. Pretty cool. Super Friends Aquaman. I used to buy every Aquaman figure I could. I had to stop that. Oh, by the way, here's this card that comes with the Storm. Love it. Toy Biz 90s Marvel figures are my favorites. All right, I picked up this mutating turtle. I may already have this one, but this is the Raphael. So you can mutate him from a regular little turtle to a Ninja Turtle. So let's do it. See if I remember how to do this. Head turns around. Those legs go back. Tail goes in. And he mutates to Raphael. Ba-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum. I love these figures. I have a Bebop, and now I have a Raphael. I want them all. Loose. All right, I picked up this Doppelganger action figure. Spider-Man the Doppelganger. What a cool figure. From the Spider-Man line, I believe. What I love about this figure is the articulation on the head. So you can have him look like this. And then you can move that head up like that and have him crawling. How cool is that? What a dope figure. I never had this. Never had that badass thing. All right, I got this random My Little Pony was in there. I don't know which one this is. It's got like what are they, what are those what are they fucking called? What the fuck are those called? Hourglass. It's got an hourglass on it. I don't know which one that is, but it's sparkly. I thought it was cool. Picked up a screw loose. I think I need a screw loose for my wing nut, so I got a screw loose. And I love different variations on the turtles, but I love particular ones in particular, including the sports ones. So I got the hockey Leonardo. I have the football Leonardo, and I have the baseball Raph, loose and on card. Our buddy Jay Willie sent me that on card, pristine card, actually, unpunched, actually. And I got the Donnie playing basketball, but I got his puck, and I got his helmet, but I don't have a stick. So I definitely need to get a hold of a stick for him. And we're going to wrap it up with the Leatherhead. I got a Leatherhead. This was one of my favorites when I was a kid because it was unlike any other figure I had. I love that the mouth goes up and open like that. I got the gun. I got the belt. That's not everything that he comes with, but that's enough for me. So I got a Leatherhead, which I thought was super cool. And that is show and tell. So hell yeah. Oh, now Philly's up 34-20. What the fuck? When did that happen? Retro Nerd Girl says, Space Truckers is a guilty pleasure of mine. Hell yeah. Well, if we ever cover that one on PCP Movie Night, maybe we should reach out. Maybe you should join us. Oh, Fable. I love those transforming turtles as well. And I got the Bebop up there. I want to get the Rocksteady, the Splinter, the Shredder. I want all of them. All right. Well, great show and tell. We had a fun time tonight. So once again, I want to remind everybody, join us tomorrow night for The Godfather Part 3 on PCP Movie Night. Saturday night for Dylan's Horror Show, we're talking about Storm of the Century. And Xmas movie reviews. We've already done Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Coming up, we got Go and Batman Returns. And now we're going to wrap up with your Final Five. All right, we're going through this 1995 Fleer Ultra Spider-Man set. Shit. First up, we got Stunner. I remember her. She's from the Mark Bagley run. Stunner. Okay. I feel you. Then we got Swarm. Character made up of insects. Really badass fucking card. Tarantula, pretty much a lame villain. Not too exciting of a card either. I remember him from early Spectacular Spider-Man. Then we got Tombstone. Weird card on this one. I love Tombstone. I love that they referenced that Death by Tombstone story that we covered on Marvel in the 90s not too long ago. But I don't know. They go a little bit too like zombie on this nose there. And then we're going to wrap up the final five with Venom. What an interesting Venom card. I kind of like it. Looks like he's like at the dance club or watching Cop Rock or something. But I actually like that card. So to recap that, we got Stunner. She's got huge tracts of land. That's by Tom Fleming. Then we got Swarm. It's a pretty dope card. By Mark Sasso. He's been our star in this run so far. Tarantula. It's all right. It's kind of mid. Ezra Tucker. Tombstone. Tom Fleming. And a pretty dope Venom. And most people wouldn't do Venom like that. And that's by Cliff Nielsen. Anyway, that's been your All right, we're dipping out. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. This has been a great show, great conversation. Join us next week for PCP Movie Night, where we're going to be watching the Cowboys game live. And we'll have the Super Chat menu open and ready and available. Join me tomorrow night for the Experience show that I do. Link in the description below. Join me for PCP Movie Night tomorrow night when we talk about The Godfather Part 3. And then Dylan's Horror Show on Saturday with Storm of the Century. Thank you all so much. Pop, pop, boom. Station. Love you. All right, we're going to unbox the figure. And I wanted to point out a comment that Bullseye Bomb had. Legend of Hell House scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. My cousins probably shouldn't have taken a 7-year-old to see a movie like that. I survived it, though. Hell yeah, Bob. I have the same type of story with Child's Play. All right, so I'm a big Motu fan, Masters of the Universe. There was a line of toys that was developed by a mom who wanted a line of toys that was like Masters of the Universe, but spotlighted more people of color. That was the Sun Man, Rulers of the Sun toy line. I never had any of those figures. They were very hard to find, apparently. But now Mattel's been doing them as part of their Motu Origins line, and Mike hooked me up with the Sun Man a long time ago. And y'all, it's time to open this motherfucker up. That's an unpunched card, too. Who gives a shit? I threw the comic away. We could have flipped through that, but Robbie threw it away. All right, so this dude comes with a shield, like some kind of staff. What the fuck is he in there? How is he stuck in there? He's got some kind of like collar wing thing. What the fuck? Let's get him out of there. Oh, he's okay. There we go. All right, he comes with this like badass like spear thing. It's like huge. Shit. So let's take a look at the figure. These Origins figures do a good job of replicating kind of the vibe of the old school figures, but they are more posable, obviously. They do their thing. So this is Sun Man. I would read his biography, but I threw the card over there. But he comes with a shield, clip, and a handle. I like that about the Motu figures. Clip it into the hand, and then get it into the hand, and then clip it on the arm. Got the shield, and then this badass spear. This is going to make a fine addition to my Motu collection. And there are other figures that they've done from this wave, from this Sun God or Sun Man era. And I'm getting all of them. Or as all of the ones I can get. These are cool. That's dope. All right, y'all. Love one another. Stay true to one another. Be real. Buy what you like. Read what you like. Read the comics you buy. All that jazz and more. And above all else, remember, wherever you go, there you are.